Okay, so I have been asked to put a little video together on how to do your store design. So if you're needing some step-by-step help with this, we do have a video for shoe design. So if you need help with that one, watch that video. But we're talking about for um, this assignment, just wait for it to load here. When we're looking at a store design, we want to understand what the term concept means as far as it relates to an architectural structure. So we'll use that in context here, and we'll talk about contemporary architectural styles and how we could kind of bring in some more original ideas into our final concept. And then we'll think about how the architectural choices we make relate to the brand identity. So up to this point, we have talked about Frank Gehry, we talked about Frank Lloyd Wright, we talked about I.M. Pei and their different styles of buildings. And then let's talk about what is a concept. So when you're referring to this term concept in architecture, a concept is an idea that is the driving force or like the design that pushes everything forward, right? So I came up with this general idea and then that everything kind of builds off of this idea. So it could be something as simple as like, pleating that happens in clothing, then happens in a building too. It could be something related to the environment and how that has influences on the building. It could be related to color blocking and how that shows up in fashion and how that relates to the building. There's so many ways and places you can find inspiration for what your concept is behind your building. So here are some examples. So you look at this first one, they have infinity as their logo, right? That's part of their design. So their building itself has that infinity shape to it. This one is a yacht club. It's inspired by water, right? So it looks like a water drop. That's where they get their inspiration. This one is just inspired by triangles. It could be anything that helps influence what design that carries with your brand identity that works with your company as a whole. Okay, so if you've got triangles in your logo design, that might be a perfect place for you to have triangles in the shapes of your building, right? When we're looking at modern and contemporary architecture, some of the things that you see often are simplified geometric forms, like these over here, or kind of influences from nature, so very streamlined, kind of smooth. This almost looks like it could be, like a map from up above, or you could see a mix of the two, right? You can see some geometric forms mixed with something more natural. When it comes down to specific things that anyone who's going in to be an architect would learn, they need to understand that their concept has to have a site analysis, a design brief, a narrative, and a function. So the site analysis basically means wherever you're going to build your building, your company, your store, you've got to think about the actual site, the environment in which you're going to build on. So if you're building in a swamp, you may need to raise your building up, right? If you're building on the side of a mountain, you may need to have some sort of understanding of the angles that are going to be in your building. The second thing you need to understand is a design brief. So if I'm not the one making my building, I'm going to an architect, this is my shoe company, and I'm going to say, this is what I need. Okay, well, on the top floor of my shoe company, I want it to be all offices, and on the bottom floor, I want to have a showroom that anybody who wants to buy shoes can come in and see all of the new prototypes, types of shoes, right? My design brief will tell me how I want my building to look. It'll give me some of those details about the environment, the company, right? All of these things are important elements that you would have as an architect. Now you are the one coming up with your concept. So you are not necessarily, you're playing both roles in this case. But in other cases, it would be a little bit different, right? The third thing that's important for a concept is a narrative. So, what's the story that your building is telling? Okay. So, could it be you're trying to talk about, natural elements because your shoes are made of recycled materials? So, maybe your narrative of your building is all about how are you incorporating nature into the structure itself. Maybe you're using recycled materials, maybe in your actual building. Maybe you're using, lots of nature inside of your building. You have like a garden in the middle, right? That's the story that your brand kind of is telling. So that's what you need to think about for narrative. The fourth thing is the function. What are the different uses of your building? So if I have different things needed for different areas, or say I'm in a town where they have specific restrictions, I can only have like certain people doing certain things in certain areas, right? If there's a function, a different function to the building, or if you're repurposing a building, that function may look different. There are a couple videos on this slide. I'm not gonna watch the videos. You can watch this on your own. I just wanna go through this so you can see like a little demo on how to do it. Again, more videos for you to watch. This is actually stuff that we have done at like a base level in class. You can actually watch a professional, click on it, and see how she does it. She's somebody who's going into architecture, and how she does the same thing with bringing in patterns, shapes, and colors into the actual design really quickly. And this is how she would use the software to help her get a job. So I want you to see what the things that we've learned in class and how you apply them in the future. So I just want you to click on that video when you have a chance. Again, I'm not going to watch it during this demo. I just want to kind of get through our presentation. When it comes to your concept, you want to think about, you are not limited by anything. You're not limited on funds. You're not limited on where you have to build. You're not limited on materials. You can use your imagination to really challenge what a shoe can look like, what a building can look like, right? So nothing is holding you back. Don't be boring with it. Be crazy. Try something new. This is the place to do it. So your concept for your structure can be really imaginative. Think of something outside the box. Again, another video for you to watch there. So the narrative, just to close up on this, and I'm going to present this so you can see it larger, because I think this one is a good narrative. It's a good story that it's telling. Super slow on the loading here, sorry. So this one is a pediatric unit of a hospital. So it's where the kids are in the hospital. And if you notice, what they did is they brought a lot of the outside in. So these kids who are in the hospital obviously can't go outside and play. So they brought in simplified shapes that would appeal to younger kids and natural colors, right? So the story they're telling is that you feel more welcomed, right? You feel like you're outside even though you're inside, trapped inside, that you don't feel trapped. You feel kind of in an open environment that's similar to being outside playing, right? So that's the story that they're telling. So think about how your story for your shoe brand is going to be told with your visuals in your building. So let's break down exactly what you're doing, okay? So here's a visual project example, and here's the actual step-by-step. As it loads, there it goes. So if we look at this, you need to have your company logo on here. You need to have a contemporary architectural sketch that you add a little color to, you play around with, make it something similar to what you would like. A color scheme, 2 inspirational images from the internet, and then answer the 2 questions. So let's go up and look at the visual again. So number 1 is the logo. Number 2 is a sketch from Google that kind of could work with your design. So if you look at this example, it serves shoes, so it has something to do with water. So the building that is there for an example has a curve like a wave, right? Color inspiration, some pictures from the internet that make sense with the wave idea, and then an answer to the 2 questions. All right, so let's go through this and actually make one, okay? So if I go to Photopea and I'm gonna make a project that's 17 inches by 11 inches, so I'm gonna come over here to Photopea, new project. I'm gonna say this is my company. I'm gonna change pixels to inches and make sure that it's 17 inches by 11 inches, and then I'm gonna hit create. All right, the first thing I need to do is bring in my logo. No, I was working with somebody earlier, so I'm gonna borrow his logo. Here is his logo. So I'm gonna take a screenshot to bring the logo in. The easiest way to do this on my computer, it's next to the keyboard or next to the space bar, 2 buttons over is a little window button on the bottom left, and then up at the top, there's a print screen button. I can hit at the same time. If you're on a school computer, on the bottom left is a button that says FN, or for function in blue. And then you can hit, I think it's F11, which is a print screen. But if you're on something other than those 2, you may have to just Google it. How do I take a screenshot on my computer? And they'll tell you, because every computer is a little bit different. So I'm gonna take a screenshot. That's a picture of the whole screen. I'm gonna come back to Photopea and I'm gonna do edit and paste. This is my whole computer screen, right? So I'm gonna resize it. So I'm gonna edit, transform, scale, and I'm gonna resize it so I can see the whole thing. Now I just want my logo. I don't want all the rest of this. So I'm gonna use my rectangle select and choose just my logo. And I'm trying to get it as even as I can. It's pretty good. Now, what I've done is I've selected the middle part where my logo is, but I want to get rid of all of the rest of it. So I'm going to go up to the computer and tell that selection to choose the opposite. So everything else, and then I'm going to hit delete. And that gets rid of everything else. Now I have just my logo. So I'm going to go up to select and deselect. And then I'm going to move this logo. I think I'm going to put my logo maybe up here. All right, so let's go to what is the second step that we need to do. I need to Google contemporary architecture sketch. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to highlight it and then copy, come over to Google and paste it. And let's look at some images. Now his logo has a shoe, it says Cash Money Shoes. So maybe something that looks like cash. I wonder if there's anything that I could put like that looks like money kind of stacked up. So I'm thinking about like what is the logo that I have. So this one is Cash Money Shoes. And I want to think about any building that could kind of work like that. So I'm looking for a sketch. And I suppose I could turn anything into looking like money, right? So let's look at the top. Like I could take something like this and make that look like it's money stacked up. Right? That could be like money there. But that looks a little bit more like a house. I think I want something that looks that could be less like a house and more like a showroom. Yeah. Because I want it to be like a company that has an area to show off the shoes. That looks good. Okay, I'm gonna take this one. So I'm gonna copy the image, come over here, edit and paste. When it comes over, it's super big. Obviously, I need to resize it. So edit, and I can do free transform. That's an option, or I can just do transform and scale. And I'm gonna hold on the shift key when I resize it because I don't want to like mess up the and distort it, like stretch it all weirdly. So I'm gonna put my building in here. I think I'm going to move this down. My building up here. Okay, so now I want to add some things to my building that makes sense with, my design. So I want to have some colors that reflect, what I have here with the purple and yellow. So I'm going to make sure that I choose the colors that are in my design. And then I'm going to go in and just do a little bit of coloring here. So I could use the magic wand, try to choose areas, color it that way, which may work. Let's try it. Let's see how fast this is. So I'll come in with some yellow. And I want to make sure the opacity is not 100 because if I draw with 100, it'll draw over my drawing. I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to go back and make it the opacity like 20. So I'm going to drop it down. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger and come in here and just add some yellow. And I want to add some purple in there too, but I'm going to get some yellow first. So come back over, use my magic wand and choose some other areas. Holding down shift to select more. So if it doesn't select the whole area, try my best to kind of get different areas here to fill in. All right, let's start there. And we'll add some purple in here. Click on my brush tool again, and then I can change the opacity if I need to, but I'm gonna leave it at 23. Make my brush bigger so I can do this faster. Just add some color, some purple in there. Now, one of the things that I like is that I could include the logo in my building, which I think would look really good. So I'm actually gonna deselect, and I'm gonna come back over, zoom out. I'm gonna actually make a copy of this layer and put it on my building. So I'm gonna come over here to my layer with my logo, and I'm gonna right click on it and hit duplicate layer. And now I have a second version of it that I can move. So I'm gonna resize that and make it so that I can go on my building. I gotta put the layer in front. There we go. And I think I want to rotate it so it fits the angle that's on the building. So I'm going to come over to transform. So edit, transform, and rotate. I think it's a little hard to see. I think I need to zoom in. Hold on. So let's play around with this a little bit. I can do perspective on it. Let me come over here. We'll do perspective and see if I can adjust it to kind of fit what's there. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So now I have just, it's kind of blurry, but it's fine. It's just the general gist of where I want my logo on my building. And the other thing that he has, it says cash money shoe. So maybe I want to include something that shows cash. Like a stack of, whoa, like a stack of money. So let me back up. Like maybe I could put like a picture of like money down here or something. So I'm gonna zoom in to here. Crazy things with the zoom tool. And I'm gonna select this area right here. Make sure I'm on my right layer. Hold down shift. All right, I'm gonna find a picture of some, like a stack of money to put in there. All right. Something like this, maybe? So I'm gonna copy this image and paste it over here. Super big, so I need to resize that. So edit, transform, and scale. Holding down shift so I don't distort it while I'm resizing it. So I'm trying to think like what would fit in there. Yeah, that would work. And I'm gonna get rid of the white that's on there because I don't want the white. I just want the money. Just the money. Because it makes sense for what his logo is, right? Let's get rid of all that extra stuff out of there and just make sure that I have the money itself. All right, so let's delete that background. And I want to put that just in that area. So what I'm going to do, oh, make sure I'm on the right layer. So I'm going to make sure that that's selected, move my money over there. Oh, not that. The struggle. There it is. Move this money over there. I think I'm going to rotate it a little bit. We can make it bigger. Let's see. I'm going to select the inverse. So just have random pictures of money on my building. So really, I mean, it's your call. I'm just playing around with his. Okay. So let's see what's next on our list. So we got our building. We need something that shows the color scheme. So I'm gonna come back to Google, and his color scheme has yellow and purple. So I'm gonna type in color scheme with yellow and purple and find a visual that shows that I like. A lot of flowers in here. I could choose any one of those. Or you can just go with like a strip of colors, right? I think I'm gonna go with this one. So I'm gonna copy this image and bring it over, edit and paste. If I needed to resize it, I could just edit and transform. I'm gonna keep it like that, I think. Maybe I'll rotate it. Make it a little bit bigger. All right, so what's next? So we got that one. 2 inspirational images. All right, well, we know his theme is cash money, right? So I'm just gonna type in cash money, purple and yellow. Let's see what comes up. Let's see if we can use that. So there's different images that are on here. I'm gonna take this one, I like that one. Copy the image, bring it over, edit and paste. Obviously I need to resize it because it's huge. Scale, so edit, transform, and scale, and hold down shift. Still way too big. And I'm gonna crop it too, because see how it has a Shutterstock at the bottom? I don't wanna have that. So I'm just gonna delete that part. I'm just gonna select it and hit delete. All right, so I need one more image from Google that makes sense with this. Let's see what else we got. Coins. That works. So copy the image, come back over to my project, edit and paste. Obviously resize it. So those are my inspirational images. All right, what else do I need? The last thing I need is to answer these 2 questions. So I'm just gonna highlight these 2 questions. Come over to my project, click on my T, my type tool, and then do Control V. Now I can't really see everything, it's kind of jumbled, so I'm gonna actually put some spaces in here. And I'm gonna put a space here, like return, so I can see. All right, so my first thing is, let me move this up because it's kind of in the way. Ah. All right, my first thing is, how does my store concept relate to my brand identity? So let me answer this question. My store concept uses my company's colors and has money as a design on the outside. And then what is the unique feature about the design of your store that appeals or attracts to your target market? So my store design, my store design is high quality and made from expensive materials that my customers appreciate. And I'm going to put a return here so I can still see it. See how you kind of ran off a little bit? All right, so this font is okay, but it doesn't really work with my font over here. So I'm going to come up and choose a different font and find one that kind of looks similar or has like a similar kind of feel as this one. So look just for something that's kind of angled. What about this one? And I can make it bigger up here. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so I can see it better. And I'm going to change the color, and I can change it to my purple color. Now, if I wanted to, I could change my background. I could add a color back there. So maybe I'll add like a light yellow because it makes sense with my colors. I could do a gradient too. Since I did a gradient on my other stuff, maybe I can include it on this one. So let me see, gradient. And I have the purple to the yellow. Let's try it. Let's see what it looks like. I'll do yellow at the bottom, purple at the top. Let's try that. That's not bad. I think I want to have a little bit more yellow so I can see it better. So I think I'm gonna, there you go. All right, so now I have my whole project done. I have all of the requirements that I need. I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna do File, Save as PSD to my computer. That is my version of the file that I can use, and it has my layers on it. So if I need to edit it, I could open it back up in Photopea if I need to. And then I'm gonna also export this file as a JPG file. I'm gonna hit save when the box shows up. And that JPG file is what I turn in. So I'll come back over to the project. So this is your store design. You'll have a little button over here where you can turn it in, and you'll upload that JPG file. Okay, hopefully this is helpful for you for this project. Let me know, like always, if you have any questions with anything. Okay.